Hello everyone! I was planning to do another ScrawlrBox unboxing for today, and this is actually January's box, but I think it got a little delayed, so it feels like I just received this one. But then I looked in my mailbox today and I have received another one, and this is February's box. I don't want to fall behind on these boxes again, so I thought, what the heck, let's just open both of these and try to combine the supplies and the prompts in both boxes and try to create something from that. So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing this for. So yeah, let's just start. Also, I am not sponsored, but if you want to take a look at these boxes yourself and get a subscription, I will leave the link in the description box below. So this is January's box. I see some earthy color tones. This artwork is made by Giobi or Giobi, or however you pronounce it, I'm sorry. And here is where you can find their art. And we have some paper sheets. Oh, and we have a little candy falling out. It kind of looks like a Vertus original. I might seem super boring and old, but I love Vertus originals. Oh, I love markers. And little stickers. So the first thing we have is a Fabre-Castell 9000 pencil. Anyone that has been subscribed to ScrawlrBox for more than a year may have a very nice collection of various graphite pencils by now. I have no idea what this is. Fabre-Castell Pit Artist Pen Bullet Nib White. So it seems like it is white ink in this. So this might be an alternative to white gel pens to make highlights with, I suppose. Very interesting. Then we have two Pigma Micron pens, or one Pigma Micron 01 and one Pigma brush pens. And then we have these guys. I've been using the Pro markers since I was like 17. I love them. But then I switched over to Copics mainly because they are refillable and they got brush nibs. These Pro markers got bullet nibs. There's nothing wrong with bullet nibs. I just prefer the versatility of the brush nibs. So I got them in the color Tan, Spice and Blush. I love the Pro markers, such memories. And the Scrawlr-challenge for January's box is growing up. Ooh, that's interesting. Oops, I totally forgot to press record when doing the swatches of the Pro markers, but I was just saying how nostalgic the smell was. Then we have the pencil, and yep, it's a pencil. I do actually really like the Pigma Micron pens. They are very pigmented, but I rarely use them myself because the nib is very fragile. So I have actually destroyed a couple of Micron pens before. I really like the brush pen. It is very flexible. Then we have this weird white pen. Let's try it on top of the markers. It isn't super visible. Oh, it actually says that you can layer it to get it even more opaque. Yep, it definitely helped to go over the area more than once. It gets more opaque. Alright, so let's take a look at February's box. Oh, I see some pastel colors. Let's start with the featured artist. So pretty. So the featured artist is Sarina Rina, I hope I said that right, and this is where you can find their art. And we have two very slim paper sheets. Yeah, there is a lot of different stuff in here, so let's start with a sticker because it looks absolutely, we got some Swedish in there, absolutely gorgeous. Ooh, love the watercolor texture. Oh, we got the feather, it is so beautiful. I will definitely put these on my sketchbooks. Wow, so tasty. Let's start with these ones. We have Corinne Brush Marker Pro. These ones I actually have a whole big set of, but I haven't really tried them properly yet. So these are brush markers with liquid ink in them. You can see the ink splashing around in there. And this one is all transparent, so I'm not really sure. Maybe it is a blender to blend these. Oh, yeah, it is a blender. Then we have these Fibralo Fibre pens. Just by looking at them, they kind of looks like these cheaper water-based markers you use when you're a kid. But I know that Caran-d'Ache is a very fancy brand. Then we have this chunky guy. Spectrum are Aquatint in soft jade. It's got a real bristle tip and you have to remove this little ring here. Boop. Screw it back on again, and then you just push the barrel and the ink will be flowing out to the tip. Or not. Come on. Whoop. Oh, there it is. Just squeezed it out right on my desk. Oh, and then we have a lovely graphite pencil. I really needed one of those, but maybe there's something special with this one. Nope, it just said a simple HB pencil with premium Swiss manufacturing. And then we have the Artline drawing system 0.2 fine liner. And then we have this little thing, looks like a point of a spear. This is the Helix Pencil Cat Eraser. You can draw and then you can just turn it around and erase. Oh, almost forgot the prompt. Plumage. Is that how you say it in English? Plumage. It sounds very French. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with feathers. So let's start with a very exciting graphite pencil. And the eraser erases. The colors I got this in is lush green, lilac and gold. That is a very, very dark green. Let's see how it works with a blender pen. So the blender pen does actually make it look a little more watercolor-ish. So yeah, I do actually really like the watercolor effect that the blender pen gives the other brush pens. And this one just feels like the generic water-based markers you used in school. Not super impressed, but maybe I can add the blender pen to this one too. Let's see. Yeah, that actually makes it a lot better, to be honest. Is that how it's supposed to be? Yeah, that is a bit more visible. Definitely looks like watercolors. You can also pick up the ink directly from the brush tip with the blender pens. That actually gives a very nice soft watercolor look, so I'm definitely gonna use this technique. Yeah, I definitely think that all of these supplies will work pretty well together, so yeah, I think I can make something nice with this. So this project took a completely different turn from what I was first planning. Nothing really went the way I wanted, which can be interesting sometimes, but in this case, in the mood I was in, I just wanted to lay down on the floor and cry. So this video almost didn't happen, but I decided to go through with it anyway, because no one is perfect, I suppose. So since some of these supplies are water-based and is supposed to give like a watercolor effect, I went with watercolor paper. So I inked it all with the Pigma micron pen, and then I started to do a thicker outline with a brush pen, and I suddenly thought, wait, I haven't tried the brush pen with the markers, maybe it will smudge. And yes, it smudged. In fact, all the line art smudged with the markers, and I know that the Pigma micron pens usually don't smudge with markers, but on this watercolor paper it sure did. One of my greatest art pet peeves is smudging line art. I hate the little dirty streaks in the coloring, so I just decided to redraw it all on Bristol board instead, where I know the micron pens and markers works together. But it wasn't just one drawing I had to redraw, it was actually 3. The 2 prompts was growing up and plumage, and I got this idea to make like a little series of drawings seeing this bird dragon creature in different stages in its life, and while it's growing, its feathers and its wings would grow with it, and in the end it would turn into this majestic creature. And I just love this idea, and I was so excited to create this character. But I repeat, nothing with these drawings went as I wanted. So I redrew the 3 drawings on the Bristol board instead, and this time I only used the Pigma micron fineliner, and I saved the brush pen and the Artline fineliner to later after the coloring to avoid smudging. And I wanted to use the markers for the body of the dragon and then use all the other colors for the feathers and the wings. And these markers, the pro markers, are really great. I love them and I love the color scheme. But when I started to blend the colors on the feet, I used blush and the spice color, and these are two very different color tones, so I needed to do a lot of blending, and the ink started to bleed over the lines, and I realized I have used the wrong Bristol board. The one I normally use can handle a lot of blending and a lot of ink a lot better. But I thought I could just hide the bleeding with a white pen later, but I was still slightly annoyed when I moved on to the feathers. So I added the very dark green to the tip of one of the feathers, and I thought I could just blend it out with a blender pen, but it turned out you have to be very quick because the ink dried before I could even blend it out. And this is why I wanted to use watercolor paper in the first place, because it doesn't suck up the water or the ink as quickly. So I tried to blend it out a bit more with the blender pen, but then the paper just started to crumble and rub off and the line art started to smear. Sweet, I thought. So instead of drawing with the brush pens directly on the paper, I started to pick up the ink with a blender pen directly from the brush marker nib instead, which resulted in a much lighter pastel color tone, so I liked that a lot better. And then I accidentally smeared some yellow ink on the paper, and I was so done with this drawing. The drawing is a mess, everything is taking a lot longer than I was planning. I have 2 other pieces to make and I don't have time to remake this drawing one more time. I don't know if you have noticed it, but my video schedule has been a mess lately and I can't afford to miss another upload, and I just want to post a video this week. So I took a few, like 100 deep breaths, and I reloaded and I just kept going and focusing. One big problem that I have, and I've always had, is being a perfectionist. I have become a lot better, but before, when I was younger, if I just made one tiny little line wrong in the line art, for example, I had to start all over again. But now I don't have the time to start over, I have a deadline to keep, so I made a decision to actually skip the 2 other drawings and just focus on making the best out of this drawing, which basically means I didn't finish the challenge, the growing up prompt, but I at least started on it. And I am sad that I didn't get to finish my original idea, because I think it could have turned out really cool and it would be something that I haven't really done before. But as my art teacher once said, sometimes you have to kill your darlings, which basically means that sometimes you have to rethink or just scrap some ideas even if you really like them, because you need to move on with the project. But one thing I do really like with this drawing though is the purple feathers. I really like the gradient from purple to blue to green. It looks really neat. To tie it together a bit more, I added a black circle around the egg and the dragon, and also a thicker outline around the whole thing with a brush pen. And I used cross-hatching to give it some more texture, just to add a little more character and interesting things to look at. And it's definitely not my favorite art I've ever made, but in the end I am happy I finished it, and it turned out better than I expected. And I did use all the supplies in the boxes. I would have preferred to have free drawings to show you, but sometimes things just don't go as planned, and that is just life, I guess. And I think it's good to show that too, that a lot of times some art just doesn't happen. To finish it all up, I smudged some purple on there too, of course. So thank you so much for watching this mess, and thanks ScrawlrBox for sending me this to struggle with. Joking aside, it is a great box and I love it. Check out the link in the description box below if you want to subscribe to ScrawlrBox yourself. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Keep drawing, my happy cats. Bye!